Well, welcome to another Workshop Wednesday, brought to you by schoolofbookkeeping.com. So today we're actually going to be talking about what's new in QuickBooks Desktop.
Yay!
This is really your favorite subject, right?
Yes, and my favorite time of year. It's like
It's like the holidays.
the holidays of, yeah. So we got
But
our hands on it because if you're a pro advisor and a desktop certified pro advisor, woo, woo, it's there.
so there's a lot of thoughts about like, well, if desktop is dead, why are they still putting out new
It,
releases, right?
it's not dead. Stop that.
No, I mean that's a real thing. So like you know,
Yeah.
if as long as there's a hard drive in a computer, they're going to continue to make new features and new versions of the desktop software. So
Eh,
every year, there's a new release, and this year is no exception. Um, it's not as robust of a feature upgrade as years past, but they're still making improvements and still making feature enhancements. So, because QuickBooks Desktop does pretty much everything that you need it to do. I mean, it's now a matter of, okay, we need to, what's the word I'm looking for? We need to fix, some of
right.
the things and do some tweaks, right?
Yes.
Now, Carrie, you actually have an interesting perspective because you're on, various councils, and so tell us a little bit about that. So you actually get to speak to, product engineers and things like and people like that who actually listen to your feedback, right?
Right. And yesterday when we were going through some things, I sent some emails to point out some areas I saw that needed their attention. So, yeah. So one of the other things is going to conferences that we're not doing right now. I picked up on a lot of interesting things and have written blogs about it. Intuit is not, I mean, this idea of desktop is dead. I think QuickBooks Connect was born 5 or 6, maybe 6 years ago. And the whole purpose of QuickBooks Connect is really to launch the whole platform of QBO and to, put a lot of hoopla behind it. And of course, the audience has picked up and people that have embraced that train are fine. But what and I'm like, wait, it doesn't do what desktop does. It's missing a lot of features. And each year they roll out differently. It's not a one time a year thing. They roll out as needed. But there's still some gaps. And that's where people like me are like, wait, we can't throw away the child that's still in the house that works to replace it with the new child that is missing, isn't quite mature yet. So what they've said, and I've heard and I write down furiously, is that, and I grab numbers like I'm thinking it could be as many as 10 years. So it's not, you don't need to throw away your, teenage child. But what they're trying to do is to make sure that without getting rid of it, they want to make sure QBO has the features desktop has, and to this day it does not. So we have lots of different things in School of Bookkeeping, blogs and choosers and things to help navigate this, because to me this embraces my favorite thing is put the customer in the right product. Don't just shove them in QBO because that works for you. You can do desktop with hosting and get a similar close enough experience to meet their needs. Don't rip them out of desktop if they're comfortable, wrapped up with the dog that's desktop.
Right.
If they're comfortable in that product, they're getting reports they're not going to get in QBO, and they're going to be mad at you for making it easier. So leave them alone. Leave the dog alone. Don't turn them into a cat, and add hosting. Take them for walks. Make sure. Anyway, so that's my soapbox about that. It's not going anywhere. Anytime that we see, they're still selling double digits of both. So cats and dogs can live together.
I was thinking this morning, because I spent most of my time at Intuit in the point of sale technical support area before I went over to the accountant team. And this was in like 2005, 2007 timeframe. I remember one year's version of point of sale, there was over 100 new features that I had to train, and I got to be the person to write the training material for that, and teach 100 support agents all about the new features. So we don't have anything like that with this year's version of QuickBooks Desktop, but we do have some pretty significant things. So what we've done is we've created a blog article on schoolbookkeeping.com, and I'll put that in the comments of the Facebook Live so you can review that later. So let me go ahead and share my screen so we can kind of work through some of these new features. We've created it and organized it in various options here. So there's some new features in 2021 that were actually part of what's called a slipstream of 2020. So if you have the latest version of 2020, you have these features, but also they're being advertised as new features in 2021. Now, and on this blog article, we've made them collapsible and expandable, so you don't necessarily have all of that text to have to deal with when you're looking at the blog article here. But you expand that section, so we have a new PDF preview on emailing forms. So we can expand this area. What is it? So when you are emailing invoices and other attachments, you can actually preview them now right out of QuickBooks. So you don't have to send it and then review it in your outbox or something like that. So
great tweaks.
Right. This is like a what took you so long type of feature.
And
so
thank you, because the product team that I get to meet and talk to are fantastic. So these are things that we're slipping in, like, while you're fixing this, can you please tweak this? So
right.
You're welcome for these.
So that's that. And what we're going to do is just kind of touch on these features. We're not going to necessarily demonstrate or do that. We'll do that in courses and deeper dives inside of schoolbookkeeping.com so that you can really play around with these features. But here is just a kind of a high level overview of that. So the next one is improved liability reminders. So what this is it allows you to schedule and create your own from the reminders inside of QuickBooks. You can create a task or a calendar event inside of your calendar on your email. So you do need to kind of use a native installed email client to be able to do that. So it won't necessarily work with Google and things like that, but as long as you have an email program on your computer, you can do that now. So we basically don't forget to pay your liabilities, because that will not only cost you time, but cost you some money.
And why I always recommend full service payroll, so you don't have to worry about it, but customers do, and there you are. Mm-hmm. This is a really cool feature. I've been watching them work on this. I'm also on the payroll council. Like, I don't really have time to get anything else done. And working with them on good feedback on this. But the bottom line of what this is you can go ahead and set up your clients within QuickBooks, but it allows you to collaborate with the employee, and then the employee can enter in their own social security number and stuff like that. So it allows them to help you. You can still do it yourself as the manager or owner or whatever, but you can also, not feel like you're touching the sensitive information. So it's a really nice feature.
Yeah, it's similar to like setting up contractors, where you just send them an email and then they set up their information, so that way it's
you're not touching it.
Not necessarily touching that.
Yeah. So anyway.
Right. There's also now access to capital funding. QuickBooks Capital, excuse me. QuickBooks Capital is short-term loans that you can apply for directly from within QuickBooks. The nice part about that is that it will take the data that's in your QuickBooks file to help you apply for the loan. So it's really a short-term loan if you need some cash flow, and everybody needs some cash flow these days. So if you need an injection of capital inside of your business, you can apply for those things right within your QuickBooks now.
Okay.
And those are the major features that are already in 2020. So if you already have 2020 and you're on the latest release, you have those features, but they're also new in 2021. So the next section is all versions of QuickBooks Desktop. So it doesn't matter if you're using Pro, Premier, Enterprise. These features are all within that version of a QuickBooks. And the big thing this year is the improved bank feeds.
This is big.
Yeah. So as you know, if you're comparing QuickBooks Online and Desktop, QuickBooks Online definitely has the nod when it comes to bank feeds. You know, importing automatically, being able to set up rules and receipt forwarding and those types of things. That is now finding its way inside of QuickBooks Desktop now. So now instead of,
I think it's great.
Instead of the Express mode and the Classic mode, you now have this Advanced mode option. So it's just in 2021. But as you can see here from the screenshots, it looks
like QBO.
A lot like QBO. So you have these tiles or cards for each version. I mean, the connection is still the same. So if you have a Web Connect or a Direct Connect, those are still the same. Some of the financial institutions are transitioning to the Express Web Connect, which is what QuickBooks Online uses, which allows you to automatically update your transactions and get those downloads rather than going to the bank, finding the Web Connect file and importing that one at a time, or paying the fee for being able to do the Direct Connect for the financial institutions there. But it does have a lot of things that now you can, that you find familiar with QBO inside of the bank feed inside of Desktop. So that's a big update. I mean, this is probably, if you have some people that are on the fence about, updating, this will bring them into, this will definitely be a worthwhile upgrade to 2021 feature. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, so I just wanted to add that if you are like me and you have gotten frustrated with the way bank feeds work in Desktop, try it again, because there's two things that you might not have realized is as QBO has entered the scene, they've done a lot of stuff behind the scenes with banks trying to make that stuff work. Banks have gotten better. And so these connections are way, way better. This puts us in line as close as we can at this moment to QBO as we can possibly be. There was one little caveat we realized is on the right where it says add to register, QuickBooks Online lets us undo, but that's about it. That's kind of minor in my opinion to have this advanced level. The other thing is they fixed the rules so that you don't have to, and I'm not even sure how it is, but the rules are better like QBO. So they're taking some of the things instead of reinventing the wheel. When I give my feedback, I'm like, hey, if it works in QBO, do the same thing in Desktop. So it's not so, cat and dog.
Right.
But
yeah.
Check it out.
We have
right in your own book.
Cat dog, like the cartoon. All right, another new feature is customer groups, and this is pretty cool in that it's a live. What's the term to call it? It's a living feature, right? So once you set it up, then as you create customers that meet that criteria, they automatically become part of that group.
Retail wholesale is an example. If you have different needs and different.
And then there's a lot of features that kind of tie into being able to create groups. Now, with Desktop, Pro, Premier, you have the ability to create customer groups. With Enterprise, then you have the option, additional on top of that, of vendor groups as well. But you can create criteria, and that could be customer, like an example here is sales rep. So you can create customer groups who are specifically assigned to a specific sales rep. And then, with enterprise, then you can actually get granular with regards to that
Sure.
sales rep. That particular person can only have access to their own customers. So that's a big win, and a way to be able to utilize customer groups in that fashion.
Right.
And if you don't have, let's say that sales rep leaves, for example, and you go into the customer and you change the sales rep, now that customer, because that's now no longer part of that group, they would move different groups. So that is, so it's a dynamic,
This is a big
dynamic
one.
feature.
This is a big
Yeah.
one. Love it.
Oops. And then along with that, then you have the ability to send out automated statements. So this will allow you, based on those groups, to be able to create and automate statements to be able to send to your QuickBooks to your customers. So that's another feature there. Anything you want to add about that?
Time saver and the ability to get paid faster is always important. You do want to have, I do recommend having QuickBooks payments on.
Now you can't, that's one of the things you can't do is receive a payment from the statement.
Right. That's the
Hector
only.
Hector was saying in his webinar that Mac actually does have the ability to receive a payment from a statement. So it's a mere, if they can do it in one platform, they can do it in another. So that's very hopeful to be able to bring that to the Windows environment.
If they have it working in the Mac, that's very, very hopeful that this is in the horizon, and
Right.
we'll get that fixed. So I promise I am pushing for this every moment.
Right. Every time that somebody will listen.
It's great. It's Groundhog Day, but I've got all those major features that I just, please add that. Please add that.
Yes.
I just wish I could do it.
Exactly. So another new one is being able to customize payment receipts. This is another one of those, what took you so long?
What took you so long?
Right. So this is, you can now create a template for just a payment receipt. So, you receive a payment inside of QuickBooks. Now, you can now send a payment receipt to your customer, and you can customize the way that looks.
Exciting stuff. It's like, yay, finally. I'm telling you, it feels like Christmas.
Right. Now an improvement with merchant payments is a little more automatic matching. I imagine this is also going to be in different versions as well, like finding its way into the 2020 and 2019. But right now it's being rolled out in 2021. But again, it's just allowing you to be able to automatically match those merchant payments when they receive a payment inside of QuickBooks Desktop. It should, I'm going to use air quotes there. It should automatically match to the open invoice. Just rolling out some improvements to be able to handle that.
Yeah, a big one.
And then these more like honorable mentions. They're not actually part of QuickBooks, but they're being advertised as improvements. Desktop Manager. So if you've used Accountant Edition, you get this file manager, which allows you to manage your desktop files and your clients. So Desktop Manager is to be able to find and install all your desktop versions. So this will be great for accountants and bookkeepers, people who have multiple versions of QuickBooks in their account. I think, Carrie, you have like close to 600 desktop licenses in your Intuit account.
It's a mess. But what we have, some of our partners run into this where they insist that their clients have to have the Accountant Edition, and that's not that's frowned upon. So this sounds like it solves that, right, Dan? If they were only buying the Accountant Edition to get that file manager thing, this should resolve it so they can go back to the regular QuickBooks.
Yeah, so I mean, you still have the file manager with the accountant edition, but
Right.
this is a separate application that will allow you to install your versions of QuickBooks
Yeah.
based on your Intuit account. So if you have multiple versions of QuickBooks, 2019 and 2020 and 2021, they'll all reside there. You download this, attach it to your account, and you'll be able to download and install your version of QuickBooks Desktop on that machine, whatever that happens to be. So it's kind of a staging area, I guess, for your QuickBooks Desktop subscriptions, but
Right.
it does not include Mac or point of sale.
Whoops.
so,
Oh well, got to start somewhere,
so
right?
yeah, so but it's available to download from Intuit's website. We provided a link here in the blog article.
So that's where you just have to go back to camps.
Yeah. Now the QuickBooks Tool Hub, nothing new here. I mean, it's actually was available before. I've seen it before. But what this is for all of your QuickBooks Desktop troubleshooting issues.
Globally
It's now just
installed.
one. It's a one-stop shop because in times years past, the PDF tool fix and the clean install tool. Basically, they're all in one place now. So you can just
And
download
password
the
reset.
Tool Hub, fix your QuickBooks issue. So the File Doctor, you don't have to download all these little individual things and clutter up your desktop with all of
Oh,
those things. Password resets are in here, so you can just download the Tool Hub and then one-stop shop again for all of those things. Okay, so that is the features that are in all versions of QuickBooks. Now we get into a little bit more detail with regards to subscription. So you'll notice that there are this year there's going to be a lot of confusion. I'm sure there's going to be a
no.
lot of confusion around plus subscriptions because well, QBO has a plus subscription, and now desktop already had a plus subscription, but now they're using it cross-platform. But in the QBO world, plus means the feature set that you have. In desktop world, plus means you have a
Subscription.
subscription,
That's
right?
it.
So really, what plus means in the desktop world is that you're subscribing just like QuickBooks Online. It's a software as a service, right? So and this is the same thing that enterprise has always been having for the past couple of years. If you don't have a subscription to your enterprise, it an active subscription, I guess you should
It
say, because
will.
you could have an inactive subscription. It will cease to work, right? So you won't be able to open your QuickBooks Enterprise if you don't have an active subscription. So Plus is the same thing. So they're basically adding the software as a service model to desktop, which makes sense because again, that's kind of how software is delivered these days. And there's some things that you get with that as a plus subscription. So
The desktop
I
part.
missed the word U or missed the letter U in unlimited.
Whoa.
So they're
Typo.
bundling some things with that. So customer support, which typically is an add-on, they'll support certain areas of an active version of QuickBooks, like installation and defects. But the how do I do something, you would have to have an active subscription or an active support plan in order to contact Intuit. So they include that with the Plus subscription. So you have customer support, automatic data backup. This was always one of those you love it or hate it types of things. The Intuit Data Protect program. I actually supported that in 2013, and I actually liked it when it worked.
Yeah,
uh,
that's
if
probably
it
one
didn't
I
work
like.
and it didn't back up your QuickBooks file or your other files, and you needed it, it was horrible because it
Your
you you were at a loss there.
yeah.
But one thing that it actually does, it does 45 versions of the same file and stores those up in the cloud for you. So When you have data issues with your QuickBooks Desktop, rolling back to a version where you didn't have those data issues is a little difficult if you don't make those backups locally. The Data Protect actually handles that for you. Or it makes it a little easier, again, as long as it's working. And then the carrot to Plus subscriptions this year is there's now going to be features in 2021 that are only available with a Plus subscription. So in this year, and we're going to talk about it, is the receipt management. And I think we're going to have Carrie demonstrate it, or at least show it, because we're already almost at 25 minutes. It's still going through here. So there is some subscription exclusive features, and this year it's going to be the receipt management. And then, of course, active subscriptions are going to give you the latest editions of QuickBooks. So when you have, just like your Pro Advisor membership, as long as you have an active desktop Pro Advisor membership, you get the new latest version of QuickBooks when it comes out. Same thing here with 2021. You have an active Plus subscription for Pro or Premier, you'll automatically get 2022 when it comes out next year. So you don't have to pay every year. Now, you don't have to install it, but as long as you're using the
we have
desktop manager, it'll just show up there, and then you can install it.
Right. And we have people that get mixed up about this too. I just want to make sure we highlight real fast about the Plus subscription. All it is, it's just like Enterprise. You still download your desktop version, whether it's up in the cloud with the hosting provider where they install it for you, or locally. You have access to whatever you're paying for. You started your subscription in 2018. You're active. You have 18, 19, 20, 21. So that's what that means. But in the background, there's some sync your license things going on that will tell that Intuit will say, wait a minute, you haven't paid, and they'll cut you off, and they call it conk. Anyways, it's the same thing. It's just you're paying ongoing, whether it's once a month or once a year, you choose that. And but everything else is the same, plus the benefits that he's outlined. And then we'll show you receipt management if you want to go through the other. Or do you want to go back to that one before we?
Yeah, we'll go back to receipt management.
Okay.
Then we can kind of touch on, because the remaining features for Accountant Edition and Enterprise Platinum, again, are the what took you so long type of thing. So Accountant Edition, if you have the Accountant Edition, you'll be able to batch delete sales orders. It's very similar to the other options that you have in QuickBooks Accountant to be able to batch delete checks and bills and invoices. So now sales orders. The caveat there is they can't be tied to an invoice. So it's just basically open sales orders, which that would be the reason that you want to batch delete the sales order, is if it's not tied to an invoice.
That actually is a fail-safe feature. That's good. I like that.
So QuickBooks Enterprise and Platinum. So there's no brand new features in Silver, Gold, but Gold is just with payroll, and Silver is just standard QuickBooks Enterprise. But Platinum and Diamond is the advanced
mid-market.
Everything's advanced advanced inventory.
We love the word advanced, plus Premier, Pro. Premium.
Running out of adjectives.
Premium, don't get mixed up.
Right.
Elite, Core.
So we did mention this data level permission. So this will allow you to specify a specific user can only have access to a customer group or vendor group that they should only have access to. So this is a great new feature, a new option, because Enterprise heads and tails has security, users and security over any product. So this is just another option to that.
And as we were talking about in that sample, it's a way to add salespeople as logins, and Diamond lets you go up to 40 users, but allows you to add those people in to get into the file, and then they're only seeing what they need to see, and they're not looking at the other people, which is it's been a most requested kind of thing for that, especially for mid-market.
Yeah, and this ties back to the groups, the vendor groups and the customer groups.
Yeah.
Landed cost, you can now use a COGS account. Let me collapse this here. So landed cost was a feature in 2019. You could only specify that to another current asset account when you did that. Now you can actually use a COGS account. Again, another option to do that, but if you now have an option to a cost of goods sold type of account.
That's an example of where people that are on the council are heard. So that was some feedback.
Now this feature is in 2021, but it's not in 2021. Requiring serial or lot numbers in advanced inventory, it's really just again a fail-safe to require it. It just didn't make it into 2021 R1. It will likely be R3 or something like that. We don't know specifically, but it's not in 2021. It is in 2020 latest release. So, but it'll be there shortly. But all this is it will make it mandatory. So if that's a concern and you want to stop somebody from actually recording a transaction without a serial number or lot number, you can now do that when it becomes available in 2021. But it's certainly advertised that way. Being able to print labels on your barcodes. So if you're using a barcode label printer and printing out labels out of your enterprise, you can now add the price. So it's
not fancy.
And then can't say it.
Vendor column added to the inventory stock status report.
Right. So so you can have alternate vendors with when you set up an item. Now you can add those columns on the inventory evaluation and stock status reports. So those are the features in Enterprise, Platinum, and Diamond. So Carrie, I'm going to stop sharing. So if you want to quickly, we'll talk about the receipt management, because that's a pretty neat feature. Again, QBO already had it, but now it's a feature in Desktop to be able to do that. So if you want to share what you got there.
Can you see my screen?
Yep.
All right. This is when these things never work. So, all right. So in the receipt manager, we find it in receipt management, a new option. Mm-hmm. And to speed things up, like someone cooking on a cooking show, I've already.
That's right. We've already prepped the onions.
Photo. Dan and I had fun playing with the photos. We took photos and sent them in. So we just grabbed some receipts. This one is a gas. So what's really, really super cool to me is that if I had this already entered in QuickBooks, it would have tried to find it for me.
Right.
So literally you snap it on your mobile, you carry on, you can put notes and so forth in it. How can we see that part?
Just click the review. Yep.
There we go, review. So then I can say where this came from, and it was trying to even create the account for me because it saw on here, it saw that it came from My American Express. It ended in 2003. It's super smart. That was super cool. So I forced it. It picked up the date. I didn't even do that. It picked up the amount. It picked the vendor up. I wrote that in there, but we tested it without that. I could pick a class if I want, but I do have to pick the account, forced to pick an account. Right. So obviously I would pick
because that's not on your receipt. You will never see, you go to a restaurant, it's not going to say, put this to meals and entertainment 50%. That's something that you would need to do. Again, if you had already entered that into QuickBooks, it would see, it would be able to start matching that based on Stop and Shop and the amount that's in there and just connect the two. What it does when it does connect the two is it creates this receipt as an attachment, and now it's stored inside not the company file, but wherever your attachments are stored on your computer. So a great way to go paperless.
So, and one other call out, it lets you select a job. So this is great for construction people. You don't have to use that, but if you wanted to tag this to a job, bam, there it is.
And you can set up users to only have access to the service. So you can invite users to only have access to the receipt management. So people who are out there doing labor, work for construction, they can just snap a picture of the receipt. It automatically flows back into the receipt management section, and then whoever's working in the QuickBooks can then classify that and record it.
So this is one that we sent over and approved, and I just wanted to show real fast, when you edit the transaction, then you will have, where is it, Dan? Attached file.
I'm pointing at it.
There it is. He's pointing at it. All right, right here, attached file. So you just click that and it'll show you the receipt, and it's saved on your computer. So wherever that's set up on your computer, which is nice, instead of another app with another something with hidden, so you can't get to it. So I like this. I like this a lot. I'm really excited about this one. So
if there was a reason to upgrade to 2021 in general, it's the bank feeds. If there's a reason to go to a plus subscription, it's receipt management.
Yes, exactly. So if they're still too small, because I have the blog on that, if they're still too small to be an enterprise, then definitely do the plus subscription to get this feature. So
right. So that's an overview. I think we crammed all that into 40 minutes. So.
I need a nap.
So, I mean, to kind of answer the question, and Matt asked that, or put it in the chat there, and they said desktop was dead. I mean, to spend 40 minutes talking about the new features, and really not to go into them, but just cover them, is pretty awesome release of 2021 desktop for QuickBooks.
And dig into that blog, because it took us a long time to do it together, and it was so nice this year. I've been doing them every year for Accountex, and Accountex is now they're gone for our world. So we're now moving those kind of articles over to school bookkeeping. It was so nice to have Dan help me on this, because it literally can take you a week to write these things. So anyway, so hopefully you get something out of it. We've given you all the screenshots, and then we'll develop courses to keep up with this stuff as time permits.
Mara asked a good question in the Facebook chat. Do pro advisors get the plus features? I believe they do. We'll have to double check on that, but because you are a pro advisor membership, that is a membership and considered to be the plus side of that. I would imagine you do, but we'll have to double check, and we'll circle back with regards to the comment there.
Question, Dan. What's the new name? It used to be Deluxe and Premier or Premium. What's the new name for?
Oh, that's actually consistent. So the Pro Advisor membership is now Premier, right? Yeah, I'm thinking Premium. Premier and Enterprise. So that's consistent with what you get with the desktop add-on. If you want Premier Accountant, then you get the Premier desktop add-on for Pro Advisor. If you want Enterprise, you get the Enterprise desktop add-on. So that was actually a nice relief or a relief of naming conventions, because with Advanced, Premier, Plus, Pro, they recycle those adjectives a lot, and you're not sure exactly what you're talking about. When you need to clarify those things, when somebody says, I have a plus subscription, what are you talking about, desktop or online now? So those are, that's consistent now with the Pro Advisor membership, at least.
So if you're on the higher level of the Pro Advisor, then you would get the receipt management, because I am, and that's how I got it for our test. So
awesome.
Now for the other.
So thanks again for joining us for another Workshop Wednesday, and we will be continuing back in the technical topics next week with what did I have here on the menu for next week? The writing off invoices, I think, is our next
Ooh, I
next
love
week.
that
So
one.
how do we handle that? And for those of you that put in the cat pool of when the cats would decide to show up, it is 10:40.
How many times?
I think I only saw him once today, but
Oh, okay.
you never know.
That's right.
All right.
Or we'll
Well,
see you.
exactly. Sign off, Carrie.
Bye-bye. We'll see you next week. Have a great rest of your week.
All right.
We'll
Bye
see
now.
you next week. Bye.